Zadok, are you just going to stand there and watch all day? Azrael said a few meters away from me. We were on training grounds. The air reeked with sweat, determination, and blood, just the way I liked it. You are doing a good job, I commented, examining the wolves as they sparred. However, there is room for improvement. I taught you better than this. This is just the first round, Alpha. I promise it gets rough with time, Azrael said, now standing beside me. All I hear is excuses. I tutted. Take a look at the female wolf's end. Athaliah is doing a better job. Perhaps I should watch them instead? Athaliah was the strongest female wolf in the Blood Moon pack. She was capable of training other females. This was as a result of the alpha blood that flowed through her veins and the impressive skills she's built over the years. I hear excited screams from the other end, where the females trained, and I realize they were all listening in on our conversation. I turned to Azrael with a smirk. I think the girls will like that too. An arm came around my shoulder, and a familiar voice said into my ears, "It'll be our pleasure, Alpha." That was Athaliah. We hadn't spoken since the last time, and I could tell this was her way of making up to me. I untangled herself from her embrace and addressed her. "Maybe someday you'll need to teach the males how to put up a good fight. Azrael's growing old," I teased. That got to the people, and laughter erupted in the training ground. This was a routine for me. Whenever I was chanced to watch them train, I made it a point of duty to always appreciate their efforts. Sometimes with little jokes to lighten the area or a sumptuous meal after the day's work. Today, however, I chose to crack a joke at my beta's expense. "You know what's better than having Athaliah teach the males?" Azrael said with an equal smirk. "Teaching them yourself." I didn't know what he was getting at, but I played along. As much as I'd love to, I don't have as much time on my hands to teach them how to win a good fight. Nodding his head, he said, "I figured. But maybe if you showed them what winning a good fight looked like, they'll pick up much faster. I mean, we are all dying to see Alpha Zadok do what he knows best." Upon hearing the words of Azrael, the entire wolves were charged with excitement. Roars of yes chorused through the training ground. "Are you challenging me to a fight, Beta?" I asked after a few seconds, taking off my shirt and standing in a battle stance. "You know I am," he replied, pulling off his shirt too. "Oh, this is going to be good. Been a while since we saw you both go at it," Athaliah said, and the crowd mirrored her excitement. "Fight! Fight! Fight!" The choruses continued, and the wolves formed a circle around us, giving us enough room to fight. "Last chance, Azrael. Unless you want to get your ass beat up again in public, back out now," I said, feigning concern and feeding off the excitement of my people. "There's a first time for everything, Alpha. I'm not the same wolf I used to be." He spoke with confidence, getting into a battle stance too. I laughed at what he insinuated. From a very young age, I and Azrael trained together, and every single time we were placed in for a match, I always won. Although it frustrated him that he was unable to win me, with time, he came to understand that it wasn't because he wasn't good enough. He pegged it to be as a result of my alpha blood, which was partly true. Another reason why he couldn't ever defeat me was because I'd mastered his game and I knew his weakness. "You already know what will be happening here today, Azrael," I taunted, hoping to get into his head. "They all know." Within a split second, Azrael came at me with a punch that nearly sent me down my knees. I must admit, his punch was a lot stronger than what it used to be. "Is that all you can offer? No wonder the wolves seem like a sloppy second of you," I instigated. Azrael was a good fighter. He had every qualifications to be my beta, and was honestly the best warrior I was privileged to spar with. The only thing about him was he was easily aggravated. All I had to do was aggravate him and his moves become predictable. Too predictable that I could easily make a mess of him. Azrael continued with offense while I blocked every hit with precision, frustrating him the more. "Tut, tut, Azrael, do better," I said, not even breaking a sweat. Azrael, on the other hand, was breathing heavily. The more I dodged him and sent powerful, unforeseen, successful hits his way, the more he got angry and desperate to get a shot on me. And guess what followed an angry Azrael? An utterly predictable Azrael. Bingo. Without wasting any more time, I switched from defense to offense, raining blows on his face and making a wreck of it. One thing about Azrael, he didn't know when to give up. Even though all hope seemed lost, he was one to fight till the very end. And that's what he did. Unfortunately, I didn't feel like letting him get a shot in. Instead, I pummeled his guts and everything else my fists came in contact with. Pathetic. I spat when he was visibly weakened. I didn't know you to be so weak and predictable. It seemed like a light bulb went off in his head because immediately he stopped fighting and stared at me like I stole from him. I didn't know you to be one who played dirty, Alpha, he said with gritted teeth. There and then, I knew he'd caught on my game. It's not my fault you are so easy to aggravate, Azrael, I said with a smirk, and there were no set rules. I couldn't resist messing with you. Getting up his feet, Azrael took a deep breath and said, "Nice one, I'll take it as a loss, but I want a rematch." Zadok. The lot was drawn and the fight began. This time around, Azrael was calm and calculated, successfully hiding his next moves and catching me unaware more often than not. "I see you know what you are doing," I complimented after getting into a draw with him. One would think that with how weak he was, he'll be a bit easier to finish off, but Azrael always put that fact to shame. Despite being badly wounded by yours truly, he was still brimming with strength as though we just started. A worthy opponent indeed. "I told you, Alpha, there's a first time for everything." He started spitting out blood. Again, I went at him, determined to force him to submission. We closed in a headlock, and I rammed my fist ceaselessly into his stomach while he did the same. By now, the entire training ground was engulfed in silence, everyone watching with rapt attention to see who would give up. With a spin kick, an uppercut, Azrael fell to his knees, barely able to stand. "You should know your Alpha by now, Azrael," I rasped, breathing heavily. "Some things never change," I said, delivering another powerful blow to his jaws. His eyes rolled up, weak to the core. However, he refused to give up. "Tell me, Zadok," he whispered, "are some things still the same? Because I see the way you look at her." His tone was accusing. Time froze as soon as I understood the impact of his words, alongside the fact that the entire wolf populace around us heard him. "What do you mean?" I asked, knowing exactly what he was talking about. It was hard to forget when she was drilled to my psyche from the moment she stepped foot in my territory. Even more so when she became the key to my very existence, when I connected lips with her. "You know what I mean, Alpha," he said with a bloodied smirk, and I realized he was speaking through the mind link this time. "I only have one question." His tired eyes bored holes at me. "Is she worth it? That witch, is she worth the hassle of going into the dark forest to break the curse when the mating ceremony is so close?" I knew what he was insinuating. He didn't want me to go. He wanted me to take another as my mate. He never liked the idea of having a witch determine whether we failed or not, so he wants me to take the easy way out. A way that meant losing to the witches forever and being without my true mate forever. A way I would choose over my dead body. Driven by anger, I let my alpha aura blast into the air, suppressing the wolves around me. I don't move an inch as I channeled all my alpha powers upon poor Azrael, forcing him flat on the floor. "I refuse to give the witches the last laugh, Azrael," I said through the mind link. "No matter what it takes, I must break the curse and be with my true mate, your true Luna." "I submit," Azrael croaked, breaking the silence around us. Immediately, I let go of the pressure and helped him up. "That's how to win a good fight," I remarked, not any more into the joke. Cheers erupted, and with a few orders from Azrael, everyone returned to training. "And what if she isn't willing to help? Have you considered the fact that Ysera might be unwilling to help?" Azrael asked, looking me straight in the eyes. Then, "Alpha! Alpha!" an alarmed voice cried into my mind. "The witch just killed a wolf." Shocked, I faced Azrael and noticed his widened eyes. It was clear he also got the message. Without wasting time, I walked out of the training ground, brimming fire and ready to kill if need be. No one, absolutely no one, messes with my people. And if the witch thinks she could escape the hell I would rain on her just because I preserved her life, then she had another thing coming. I walked into the kitchen, and the first thing I noticed was there was an eerie silence in the building. Suddenly, I heard growls, powerful growls that could only come from a fully transformed wolf. I saw red when I realized something. In this pack, the penalty for killing was death. And if there were fully transformed wolves somewhere inside the kitchen, there was only one explanation. They were about to kill her. I hastened my straps with Azrael following behind me. I could sense where the wolves were, and when I heard another thunderous growl and a gasp following, I broke into a sprint. Finally, I got to the storage room, which was filled with snarling wolves. Naturally, they made way for me, and in no time, I stared at a scene that almost took the breath out of my nostrils. Ysera was cornered by 4 wolves, badly wounded and waving a knife while they advanced towards her with intent to kill. "Leave me alone," she managed to say, short of breath and struggling to stand. Jacob, one of the warrior wolves, bared his teeth and in a whiplash bit into her leg, causing a howl of pain to leave Ithra's lips. Seeing his fangs deep in her legs brought a sickening feeling to my guys, and hearing her howl of pain caused a terrifying amount of fear inside me. My wolf was pacing, itching to get out, and my reaction was instant. Using my alpha tone, I roared, "Let her go!" The 4 wolves turned around and I could see the shock in their eyes. They didn't realize I was in the room. "Jacob, Elijah, Matthew, Benjamin," Azrael commanded, pointing at the warrior wolves. "Down! Get out now!" he ordered with fiery eyes. The wolves hesitated, looking between Azrael and Ysera, who closely held her knife like her life depended on it, petrified by the wolves that refused to back off. Seeing her look so scared broke something in me. Suddenly, I felt the room grow hot as my rage built. Shards of alpha power exuded me, forcing the wolves to their knees. My eyes turned red and I let Kyr take over. "I said let her go! Zadok, pick her up! Pick her up!" My mind yelled at me, and like a possessed person, I walked towards Ysera with that goal in mind. Probably scared by what happened, she leans into her person, but I wasn't deterred. I picked her up like a pack of cards and immediately made my way out, leaving behind a pack of bowed wolves in my wake. As I stepped through the people, carrying her bridal style, my eyes caught an unconscious wolf by the corner with a knife to the chest. My blood boiled, knowing exactly who had perpetuated that act. My eyes connected with Ithra's and my hold around her tightened. With clenched jaws, I walked past the body, sending a note to Azrael to take the impaled wolf to the pack doctor while I led Ysera to the prison till I knew exactly what to do with her. We got to the prison and I dumped her on the floor. "Lock her up. No food or water until I say otherwise." I ordered one of the guards, who immediately dragged her away with a snarl. I watched Ysera struggle to look back, almost as though she wanted to say something to me, but it was too late. I didn't want to hear it. No matter what happened, she had no right to take laws into her hands or to hurt my own, and I was going to ensure she learned that the hard way. I walk out of the prison and meet Azrael coming in. Angrily, I fired my orders. "Find out everything you know about her, Azrael. I want more details, something more than where she comes from. It should be on my desk by midnight. Find out what happened in the kitchen, Azrael. I need more details about her, something more than where she comes from. I want to know everything there is about her, something you might have missed, and I want it done by midnight." I gritted. "Yes, Alpha," he replied, knowing I wasn't in the mood. "And Morgan, how is she doing?" Asking about my injured and probably dead wolf brought pain to my heart. She will be fine. Luckily, the knife barely missed her heart. She's currently on bed rest and should be fine by tomorrow. Hearing Azrael's words brought relief. I didn't know how I'd stomach it if I lost another wolf to a witch. "Tell Shilhi to do everything she can. I'll take responsibility for everything," I said. "Find me in my office if you have news for me." With that, I walked away, leaving him to his devices while I went to bury myself in work. I was in my office, digging through paperwork, when Azrael finally showed up. "Took you long enough," I said, looking at the clock, which read 2 a.m. He was 2 hours late. Azrael took a seat in front of me, oddly silent. I could tell something was up because he seemed bothered, lost. I dropped the paperwork and focused on him. "Is there a problem?" I asked, already getting impatient. He sat up. "You wouldn't believe what I found out about." That piqued my attention. "Stop dawdling and speak up already. I don't have all day." I started my investigation in the kitchen. He started, "Apparently, Ysera cursed you out in the kitchen, and when they tried to speak to her about it, she went crazy and attacked Morgan." My jaws tightened at his words. I didn't know what I was expecting, but I honestly hoped there was a mistake somewhere. Are you certain that's what happened? I find myself asking, unwilling to believe she held a grudge so bad she wanted to kill a wolf. Unless everyone lied to me, including Morgan, then that's what happened. He gritted. I could tell he wasn't finding my incessant questions pleasant. Morgan's awake? Yes, she is. Thanks to her werewolf healing, he was able to quicken the process. Do you want to see her? I waved my hand. No, not yet. I managed to say, is that all? Azrael gauged me silently for a moment, then he began. I sent spies to the Celt's coven. My eyes shot up. There was no way to sneak into the Celt's coven. We both knew that. The reason being that the forcefield hindered and protected them from wolves and other beasts or threats. How? I asked after a beat, fully immersed in his words. The forcefield is weakened. Azrael remarked. I found out that the forcefield which hinders us from accessing the clan was having a major problem. For some reason, it no longer holds the ability to keep every beast at bay. What are you talking about? Speak clearly. What I mean is that the forcefield isn't stable. Although it's still able to keep the wolves and other territorial beasts away, it doesn't ward off every other species. When Azrael noticed I was still waiting, he continued. The phase. I was able to convince them to get into the coven and source out more information about her. Although it cost me heavily, it was well worth it. The phase are not to be trusted, I growled. They can put together a fake story with glamour in order to rob you of all you've got. Surely you thought of that. I am aware, Alpha. Azrael spoke with confidence. However, I am very sure that's not the case. Before we hit a deal with the fairy, she was caught snooping in our territory. I snarled, not liking the idea of a sneaky fairy roaming my territory. I got into a deal in exchange for her life, and to show her commitment to it, she revealed her true form. When he said that, I felt rest assured. One thing about the fairies was that they never showed their true form. Most of the time, they moved in glamour, deceitfully hiding their true identity as they perpetuated evil. However, when they do reveal their form and give you their word, they are bound by it. Seeing I was getting convinced, Azrael continued. You wouldn't believe what I found out, he said with a cynic smile. Ysera, our oh-so-powerful chosen one, cannot cast a spell. I remained silent, waiting for him to tell me he was joking. When he didn't, my brows furrowed. What do you mean? Exactly what you heard, Alpha. Ysera, the eldest daughter of the Celt's coven enchantress, does not have powers. Ysera. I couldn't forget the look in his eyes when he dropped me off. Disappointment, frustration, and something I couldn't quite lay my hands on. For the past 3 days I've been here, locked up in the dark and starved of food or water. For some reason, despite being badly wounded and empty, I was still alive and breathing through it all. Did I regret what I did? Not the littlest bit. If Zadok was anything like Solel described him to be, he would agree with me too. I doubt he was anything like the poor girl described, seeing I was still here, serving punishment for something that was not my fault. I can hear your brain wheels turning. What on God's name are you thinking, witch? I heard the voice of my prison mate and nearly let out a sigh. As if getting locked up and starved wasn't enough, I ended up with a talkative wolf roommate. I wonder why you are not dead yet, he continued. Has Alpha Zadok gone slack on his life's goal to eradicate every witch on Earth, or is he taking his sweet time to kill you so it's more satisfying? I didn't say anything. I could tell that the wolf was looking for a word from me. Perhaps he was curious to know what a witch sounded like. I didn't miss the hatred in his tone when he mentioned Zadok. It was hard to miss it when every single person I'd come across in this god-forsaken pack always spoke of Zadok with reverence. It wasn't surprising this particular wolf was in prison. Perhaps he was a rogue. Without any care in the world, he continued like I wasn't in the room. Ever since the witches cursed him, he's done nothing but cause trouble everywhere. One would think he'd be well on his way to the dark forest by now. But no, he chooses to stay here with his crazy beast, he lamented. Anger filled his tone. If I ever get out of here, I'll put the witches out of their misery and kill him myself. His words grabbed my attention. I didn't know when I spoke, for the very first time since I came here. The dark forest? I sense his neck swish towards me, then laughter, a mocking and infuriating kind of laughter. So the witch speaks, and here I was, thinking the only witch I was able to meet in my lifetime happens to be a dumb one. I pursed my lips, regretting ever uttering a word. I knew Zadok was referred to as the cursed alpha. It was general witch's knowledge. Although I didn't know what the curse entailed, I knew he got it from his decision to eradicate every witch clan he could find. However, there wasn't a single book that told what the curse was, nor was there a book that entailed how he was supposed to break the curse. Answer the damned question, I breathed, needing every bit of information he could provide. And why on earth should I tell you witch? He cackled. It's wolves before witches. At this point, I knew there was no reasoning with him. If I wanted to know anything more about why Zadok needed to go to the dark forest and how it related to his curse, I would have to find out myself. I couldn't say I wasn't happy when they took Loudmouth away from my cell, leaving me to my quiet. But of course, before I could get back to wallowing in my beautiful situation, Zadok decided to visit me. Yay, I didn't need to see his face before I knew it was him. His footsteps, aura, and just how well he managed to dominate a room was enough to know. I felt his stare before I saw it. This man made it a goal to put my nerves in a wreck every single time he came around. My body ached to meet his eyes, but I kept my eyes on his shoes. He was outside my cell, relaxing on the wall and watching me with fascination. Was this the day I would finally die? Is this the end? I wondered with the prolonged silence. Unlock her. His voice vibrated through the prison, and immediately my gate was drawn open, and the chains on my hands and feet were set loose, leaving only the witch band. I felt scared. I calculated my odds of escaping and surviving whatever terrible judgment that awaited me. Facing my fears, I connected eyes with Zadok, who immediately walked into my cell, all the while maintaining eye contact. "Leave us," he said after a moment of silence. His eyes never left mine as he spoke. Despite his low command, the guards stationed at my door disappeared into the dark, leaving me alone with him. Refusing to cower, I kept my eyes on him, too tired to stand on my feet or do anything more. "Morgan is alive," he said with his left hand inside his pocket. "Morgan?" I replied, brows scrunched in confusion at what he was talking about. "The wolf, the one you thought to kill. She's alive," he states, searching my face for a reaction I had no plans on giving. The knife was very close to her heart, nearly killed her, but she's fine. Putting up a nonchalant attitude, I leaned back with a smirk. "That's too bad," I stated. "Remind me to aim properly next time." I saw his jaws twitching, and I knew he didn't like what I said. Unfortunately for him, I didn't care, not for someone who tried to kill me first. "Is that all you came to do, to tell me that I missed my target? I thought you were a busy man, Zadok." I tutted. If I was dying soon, I might as well make my last moments worth it. Nothing pleased me as much as the surprise on Zadok's face when I mentioned his name. "You amuse me, Ysera," he said, coming closer to me and dropping to his knees. The air around us was charged. I could barely breathe from being so close to him. As though his invasion of my personal space wasn't enough, he went on to do something that placed me in an irrevocable shock. He removed the witch band from my wrist. "Zadok, I'll give you another chance to tell me who you are, Ysera," I said into her ears, enjoying the look of horror in her eyes. "Not that I do not know, but I'd like to hear you say it." I spun the witch band in my pinky finger. "Who are you and what is your real motive for entering my territory?" Ysera gulped, and it was the most attractive thing I've ever seen in my life. "Focus, Zadok, focus." I shook my head, trying to get the odd thoughts away. Ysera remained silent, an act that didn't go down well with me. I thought that by now she would have learned her lesson about crossing me. "You must feel very confident," she croaked, surprising me. Her voice wasn't the sweet and sultry one I'd come to know her for. It sounded parched, broken, and overused. Why did she sound like that? "Unlocking that band has got to be the stupidest thing you've done since the beginning of your existence, Zadok," she said, eyeing me warily. I saw through her act. Behind the tough girl persona was a girl scared she had been found out. "You mean the smartest thing I've done in a while." I got up, and my voice hardened. "How long did you think you could fool me, Ysera?" Walking around in circles, I continued. You must have enjoyed playing this game, didn't you? Having us wary of you, placing a witch band on your wrist, treating you like some powerful being. What are you talking about? Ysera asked, still acting ignorant. Moved by anger, I grabbed her wrist, twisting it painfully. You tell me, Ysera. Tell me why a proclaimed witch is unable to cast a spell. Her eyes widened, and there and then it was confirmed. She couldn't cast a spell, and she knew it too. I didn't know what to do. I guess a little part of me was holding on to the fact that they might have been wrong, that something must have gone wrong, that Azrael was somehow fooled by the fairy. But seeing her react to it, I was certain she was unable to cast a spell. She was exposed. Questions danced in her eyes, questions she couldn't bring herself to ask. Reality dawned on me. She was harmless, defenseless, and most importantly, under my mercy. A surge of power reverberated through me at the implications of what her powerlessness meant. She couldn't even be called a witch. She couldn't cast a spell on me. She wasn't a threat. How then could she lead us to the dark forest? How could she be the chosen one if her state was this pitiful and weak? I needed to see Shilhi. I'm guessing that's not a surprise to you, so I'm going to set things straight, I began, letting go of her arm as I spoke. So far, we know you are from the Celt's coven, and you aren't the most welcome there, despite being the daughter of the enchantress. She sneered at my words, but I couldn't care less. We also know you cannot cast a spell, and that means you are totally vulnerable and under the mercy of the Blood Moon Pack. Thirdly, the force field that protects your people from invasion is halfway down, which means if I do desire to eradicate the Celt's coven, I can. I said with so much certainty that she visibly shook. In the back of my mind, I wondered why she cared so much about people who are definitely not so fond of her. The horror in her eyes fed my ego. The other times I spoke to her, she always held an air of confidence, although it was little, but it was there. However, as I spoke to her, there was no shred of confidence around her. She seemed like one who had their carpet pulled from underneath her legs. Unsettled, fidgety, and scared. Just how I liked it. I could tell she believed I meant every word, so I let her believe that, for both our sakes. I'm going to make you a final deal, I continued, wearing a serious expression. Pledge your loyalty to me and the Blood Moon Pack. Pledge your loyalty to me and preserve your life and that of your clan. Believe me, it's only a matter of time before that force field goes down, and when it does, I'll be waiting to finish off the only witch clan exempted from my rampage. Ysera opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her lip was broken, dried, and all shades of unattractive. Yet I wanted to stroke it, to kiss it alive. So much so I tightened my fist to get a grip of myself. Why couldn't I get a grip around her? I believe you'll need time to think about your choices, I said when she didn't speak. With how malnourished and ugly you look, I can imagine how hard it is to think looking and feeling like that, so I'll give you some time. I'll give you some time to think about your choices carefully. This is the third and last chance you would get, Ysera, so you should examine your choices clearly. After all, what do you have to lose? I walked out of her cell, leaving her room to think and decide. Also, don't you think I've forgotten about what you did, hurting a member of my pack? Your actions shall be punished duly, and until I see you show remorse for what you have done, you shall be remanded here. I tutted, for the next 2 weeks, you will be on hard labor, and just because I'm in a good mood, you'll be allowed a meal per day. Do anything funny, and you'll lose the meal. Let's see how far your human, not so human body can take you without food. With that, I walked out of the cells, ordering the guards to see to it that my words were carried out. Ysera, I could count the ribs on my stomach. That's about how much I lost weight since my sentence 1 week ago. Keep moving, witch, a guard said from behind me, harshly poking me with a stick. We don't have all day. What he meant to say was that he didn't have all day, because I clearly wasn't in a hurry to return to that god-forsaken farm. I moved my feet faster, ready to return to the farmland I had been working for the past 1 week. Every day since the last time Zadok visited me, I was escorted by a wolf guard to the pack farm where I labored all day, picking out weeds in the hot sun. For a pack that eats a lot of meat, I wondered why they had a farm, and a very big one at that. Every day, people came from the kitchen to pick out their produce for the day, not forgetting to send me a nasty snarl every single time. When we got to the farm, the guard left me to the hands of another, who immediately urged me to begin my duty while keeping an eye on me. I proceeded to my job, handpicking the weeds from where I stopped the previous day. After hours of toiling without food, I've had enough with the weeds in the farm. However, when I look up to see what is left, I feel like I haven't done a single thing since I came here. A large expanse of unweeded land stared back at me, mocking my efforts of the day. I was never going to finish this, I said to myself. Not today, not in 2 weeks' time, not ever. My stomach growled, and I am reminded of the fact I can't have anything until I at least finish the portion allocated for today. For the first time ever, I miss the Celtic coven. Despite the terrible treatment meted out to me out there, I wasn't hungry. Remembering the Celtic clan brought back the worry that ate at me since the last time with Zadok. I wondered how they were doing, how the forcefield was holding up. If Zadok was able to find out I couldn't cast a spell, that meant the forcefield was a shadow of itself. Or worse, nothing to write home about. That fact threatened the existence of my clan, and brought days of sleepless nights. While I continued the day's work, I thought of the many ways I could secure my clan without selling my soul to the devil, all of which turned up empty. When Zadok visited my cell, he knew he had all the cards. There wasn't anything I could do to stop him. I couldn't even pretend like I had some powers to wipe out the pack if I wish. These days, the fact that I was left unchained was more of a mockery to me than freedom. It showed I was nothing, nothing to be afraid of and nothing to regard. Without going back to the Celtic clan, I was returned back to my state of mind there. I also nursed some anger at the fact my secret was sold out to Zadok, who now held it over my head. Another thing I couldn't deny was the fact that I wanted to see him. Ever since he walked out of my cell, I wanted to see him so badly and submit myself to him. My family couldn't be destroyed, not until I am able to figure out a way out of here and get a remedy for the forcefield. You guessed it. I wanted to go to the dark forest. I figured dying in the dark forest was better anyway. At least then, I'll be dying for a noble cause. I had to get to the dark forest. But how? Chosen one. I hear a voice say behind me, and I snap out of my thoughts. A caped lady with flowing black hair stood at the gates of the farm, wearing an eerie smile that made me uncomfortable. "What did you just call me?" I managed to speak, thirsty and tired. "I see you are tired," she said, picking up some herbs very close to the gate. Quite a profound observation, I said under my breath, feeling bitter. "You shouldn't be here," she said, still plucking some herbs. "You don't belong here." She looked up at me. "You know that, right?" Her eyes flickered between blue and gray, and I felt something zap into me. I blinked, wondering what on earth just happened and who the hell she was. To my greatest surprise, she was nowhere to be found. Just like that, she disappeared. Dark clouds covered the sky, leaving no room for light as I toured the dark forest, looking for a way out. Chosen one. An eerie voice from nowhere startled me. I turned around, seeking to know who it was, but there was no one. I picked up my pace, heading deeper into the dark forest, meeting twigs, twists, and turns. The coldness of the forest warned me of the dangers that lurked within. "Chosen one," the voice said again, and this time it was closer. "Hello?" I called out in a shaky voice, enveloping myself in a hug. "Is someone there?" I yelled, and my voice echoed back. Black ravens in multitudes erupt, flapping their wings into the sky. The dark sky is covered by them in large numbers and a loud noise of flapping and screeching. I duck my head in reflex, trying to preserve myself from harm and thinking of the best way out. "Ysera." A powerful voice that seemed like 1,000 drums echoed in the forest, scaring the shit out of me. "Who is it?" I sobbed, tired of the strangeness of it all. "Hold out your hands," the voice said, and with a trembling body, I obeyed. Immediately, a bright light zaps into my hands and enters my body. What the hell? Immediately, I felt a surge of power rise through me, and every fear was gone. The entire forest regains stillness and the coldness increases. I feel an urge to say something, to do something, to let out the powers within me. And so I did die. I say to a palm tree, and to my greatest surprise it withers and dies. "Ysera." Not a day passed without a dream about the dark forest. Ever since the Cape Lady visited the farm, every waking moment was spent with thoughts of the dark forest, so much so that I felt a part of me was there, waiting for me to come. With the alarming increase of my dreams about the dark forest, I became a shadow of myself. If I was looking bad before, then I looked terrible at the moment. Dragging myself to the farm, I contemplated how to get to the dark forest. I didn't know where it was located, neither did I know how to leave this place. I didn't even have powers to help myself out there if peradventure I left on my own. It was an impossible mission. I toiled on the farm, calculating my odds if I was to get an opportunity to leave this deserted place. The dark forest didn't scare me anymore. In fact, I was certain nothing would happen if I stepped foot in the forest. Call it an intuition, but I was convinced that the dark forest wouldn't harm me. In fact, I developed a weird connection and belief that the dark forest will make me stronger. How? I didn't know, but I knew it wouldn't destroy me, not in the way I had read it destroyed many. An eerie voice called, and my hands ceased to function. It was that voice again, the chosen one. The voice echoed from behind me, sounding like a rush of mighty waters. Slowly I turned around, and to my greatest shock, I wasn't on the farm anymore. The forest green leaves and crops around me were replaced by twigs and dark trees of the dark forest. Am I dreaming? I thought, looking around and cleaning my eyes. A strong wind from the east blew into the forest, causing its trees to dance and pushing my red hair with it. I closed my eyes as tree particles and earth rose to the air, filling everywhere with dust. What is going on? I thought, terribly scared at the strangeness of it all. Ysera! I hear the voice call from the deepest part of the forest, and for some reason I feel moved to answer that call. Who are you? I called out, walking deeper into the forest. Come out and stop playing mind games already, I said desperately, frustrated and losing my mind. No one answered. Instead, the voice stopped. Everything ceased, giving me nothing to work with. I turned back, and with great fear, realized that I had lost my way. I'd been so caught up with following the voice that I stepped into the deep parts of the forest with zero recollection of my way back. I was supposed to be in the Blood Moon farm, serving my tenor and planning my escape. How did I get here? Was I going crazy? Is this a dream? My head exploded with a lot of questions that had no answers, and in a few seconds I was very close to a panic attack. Calm down, Ysera, I said to myself, taking the breathing exercises that did nothing to slow my heart rate. It's all a dream. You'll be fine. It's all a dream. I chanted in my mind as I turned around the same way I came. You are going to walk back this way, and everything will be fine. I said to myself, and without a thought I walked back the same way I thought I came. I hadn't taken 3 steps before I was blocked by a big, brown-colored wolf. My feet lost their motion as I stared death in the face. Standing on its large paws, it held eye contact with me, refusing to make a move but watching me vigilantly with its brown orbs. My feet remained rooted to the ground, but my brains screamed to run for my dear life. After a few seconds of the stare contest, I decided to give in to the impulse of my brains and made a run for it. In one breath, I turned around, and immediately, an earth-shaking growl hit the forest, scaring the birds and other little animals into hiding. As I ran, I heard the powerful paws of the wolf hit the ground, no doubt, chasing after me. Another powerful growl hit me, and in fear, I tripped on my feet, falling like a pack of cards. While on the floor, I looked back and saw it coming at me with its fangs bared and ready to tear into my flesh. I was dead meat. Resigning to my fate, I closed my eyes, ready to end it all when I felt a bright light around me. I didn't open my eyes until I heard a soft voice call to me. Ysera! Get up! Come, the voice said in a haste. My eyes flew open, and I realized there was a force field that covered me, while the wolf was outside pacing and attacking the force field, wanting to get to me. Get up, Ysera! We don't have time! The voice said to me, and only then did I realize I wasn't alone. I see a lady on white and flowing red hair holding up her hands that released white currents that formed the force field. She was a witch. Shocked, I jumped up and she pointed in the right direction. Go there. I'll join you in a few minutes, she ordered, and I am compelled to obey her voice. Just who was this woman? I went through the right and a bright light engulfed me. I couldn't see, but something kept pulling me forward. And for some reason, I kept walking until a powerful feminine voice stopped me. Ysera, don't go any further, she commanded, and it feels like the land obeys her. I want to move forward. I feel something calling at my soul, but my feet remain rooted to the ground, unable to proceed. I remained standing until she came back. She stood in front of me with a soft, breathtaking smile. The wolf is gone. You should be careful around here when you come around, she said and walked ahead. I followed her. Who are you? I finally spoke, following behind her as we walked through the dark forest. Why am I here? I'm a bit hurt you don't recognize me, Ysera, she said with a chuckle, and I stopped. Is this a dream? I was on the farm a few minutes ago and now I'm here. What is going on? Were you the one who called me? What are you? I felt overwhelmed as more questions developed in my head. Everything was bizarre. I could feel a panic attack coming. Calm down, she said in a hard tone. For some reason, my body obeyed her and the panic ceased, almost like she had power over me. Look me in the eyes, do you not know me? She said, and for the first time ever, I saw her golden eyes. Sarai? Ysera. Her smile widened and my eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. Enchantress Sarai! I got on my knees and she placed a palm on my shoulder, urging me up. Get up, Ysera. You have a long journey ahead of you, she said, and I got up. Sarai was the most powerful enchantress to have crossed the earth. She was the witch who created the Celts' forcefield, and according to legend, she wasn't found after she conjured the spell. Some said she was defeated by the powerful spell, while others said she was cast into abyss for conjuring such great magic. I couldn't believe I was seeing her. Sarai, what happened? How are you here? Have you been here all along? Listen to me. Her voice was desperate. I don't have much time. You must not allow them to win. You must stay true to who you are. Her voice faded as she spoke, as well as her body. Sarai, what is going on? I panicked. I couldn't see her anymore. Just listen, her voice echoed. No matter what, you must go to the dark forest. You must recover your powers. You must right this wrong, Ysera. What's wrong? What are you talking about? Sarai, go to the dark forest, recover your powers. Time is running out. I couldn't find her anymore, but her words rang in my head. Go to the dark forest, recover your powers. There is no more time. Sarai, I called out, taking note of the fact I was alone. I closed my eyes, fighting the fear that paralyzed me. Ahem. Someone cleared their throat and my eyes flew open. Are you all right? She asked, eyes narrowed in concern. I couldn't bring myself to talk. I was too shocked, because like magic, I was back at the farm, squatting exactly where I'd been before I left to the dark forest. I quickly got on my feet and took a look around. Nothing seemed out of place. The guards were still there, watching me like a hawk. Was it a dream? It felt too real. I could still hear her voice. I could still hear my rapid heartbeat. I turned to the woman that stood there, observing me like an odd specimen. It was the caped lady, the same one that disappeared some days back. You vanished. Who are you? I asked, taking steps back. She smiled. I see you are having a hard time here. You were busy when I left the other time. Come on, I'll show you where I was. She beckoned to me and led the way. I stood for some time, wondering if it was safe to follow her, and if I was allowed to leave my duty post. Don't worry about them. They won't speak a word. Follow me, she urged without looking back. I hesitated for a few seconds, and like a fool, I followed her. We got to a clearing in the far right end of the farm after a few minutes of walking. I see something of the semblance of a greenhouse. This is my favorite place in the world, she said, opening the wooden doors. Inside the hut held shelves of dusty old books, a table with various colored liquid, and a boiling cauldron. It was a typical witch's coven. I faced her with a newfound wariness. Who are you? I asked again, 1 foot out the door. I am Shilhi, the lady said, pulling off her cape and revealing her long violet hair. You can call me the Pax Herbalist. I wasn't satisfied with her introduction, and she knew it. Without as much as a glance back, she continued. This used to be the witch's coven, but it's been revamped to my workshop. She said, I deal with herbs, so it's more convenient having a place close to the farm, and since I love reading, the books added to its appeal. I let out a breath and felt myself relax. However, I had no business here. If the guards found out I wasn't at my duty post, I didn't know what would become of me then. No need to worry. The guards saw us leave. You can take a few minutes rest. They needed some rest too. Shill, he said, and I'm surprised at her discernment of my thoughts. Deciding to take my much-needed rest, I walk around the old hut, looking through the ancient books that it held, while Shilly tests some herbs close to the fire. For some reason, my eyes are drawn to an open book placed at the table with some experimental glasses. Silently, I make my way over and carefully observe each cup, wondering what on earth it contained. Finally, I get to the book. Its pages were old and its contents were written in a language I couldn't understand. I remained standing, wondering what language it was and why it fascinated me so much. "Can you read it?" Her voice startled me. I had almost forgotten I wasn't alone. "No." I stepped aside. "What language is it?" "The Ancient Witch's Code." My eyes widened at her words. The Ancient Witch's Code was the language used by the Ancient Witch clan, dating back to 1,000 years. I've tried to read it for years, but I can't seem to break the code, she said, carefully flicking through the pages. Legend says it's been locked by the ancient witches and can only be read by one they permit. I was no stranger to that law. Stories about the ancient witches and their code were told to us as young warlocks. It was basic witches' knowledge. "Try to read it," she demanded, pushing the book closer to me. "You are a witch. Who knows, they might reveal something to you." I could see the compulsion in her eyes. It wasn't a request. It was an order. No wonder the guards let me go. It was all a setup. Unfortunately for her, I couldn't read it. The words printed on the page were as clear as a dark sky. "I can't read it," I muttered, turning away. "Try again," she commanded, holding me by the wrist. "I can't." I withdrew my hand from her, and even if I could, why on earth would I read it to you? "If you don't mind, I need to get back to work." I took one step and she broke into a laugh. "I knew you couldn't do it, just wanted to try." She said, "You can rest here for a while before returning to work. Don't let me spoil your day. I'll be out back." Before I could utter a word, she skipped out of the hut towards the back. I stood for some seconds contemplating leaving the hut, but decided against it. I returned back to the book, and to my greatest shock, I could make out its words. "The dark forest mountains retain the power to give and restore a witch's power." Ysera. The dark forest mountains retain the power to give and restore a witch's power. I reread those lines with shock, cleaning my eyes every now and then. This must be a setup too. I turned around, checking for the odd herbalist who thought it wise to play tricks on me. However, she was nowhere to be found. I looked around the hut, turning out back in search for her, all to no avail. I was left alone. With a newfound determination, I shut the door behind me and returned to the book with fresh eyes. This time around, one thing stood out to me. Everything written on the page remained on the ancient witch's code save for the last paragraph, which read, "The dark forest mountains retain the power to give and restore a witch's power." Goosebumps wash over my body as I recite the line in my head. I could feel my spirit connect to the book. It felt like the line was written just for me. Legend says it's been locked by the ancient witches and can only be read by one they permit. Shilhi's words returned to my mind, and I don't know what to make of it. What in the world is going on? Is this a sign? Should I be concerned? My internal battle was cut short by the sound of the door opening. I turned around and came face to face with Athaliah, proudly followed by Morgan. Her smile brought shivers down my spine, a reminder of the hell she was capable of putting me through. Why was she here? "Oh, there you are. I've been looking for you for a minute," Athaliah said with a wave of hand. "I thought you'd be in the farms, where you were supposed to be working." She looked around. "But I see you found your way around." I stepped away from the book, making a mental note to return from it when I had less company. "I need to go," I muttered, ready to leave, only to be stopped by Athaliah. "Oh, no, you don't." She held me by the wrist, tightening her grip as she spoke. "I thought to bring Morgan to you. Poor Morgan nearly lost her life, and I hear you are responsible?" "She's lucky I missed." I gritted, unable to control my temper. "This bitch tried to kill me, and hell will freeze over before I regret anything I did to her." Slap! My neck turned at the sheer power behind her slap. Before I could speak, A blow followed to my guts, and a spin kick brought me to the floor, hitting my head at the back of the shelf. Just when I thought the horrors were over, the shelf gave way and its contents collapsed right on top of me. Searing pain rose from my joints up to every part of my body. I couldn't even stand. This is just the beginning. I will make you sorely regret laying a hand on a wolf. That I promise. Athaliah spoke with venom and with a painful kick, walked out with Morgan behind her. At that moment, I knew one thing. If I don't get stronger, I'll always be the victim. I felt out of breath as I ran with every strength in me. Ysera. The voice said in my head, driving me crazy. You can't run away from me. Leave me alone, I screamed, running through the dark forest. I feel a shadow loom over my back. You are the key. I shook my head and continued running. I wanted to get out of this forest. I needed to find a way out. Ysera. My legs give way at the intensity of the voice, and I fall down. A cold sensation seeped into my bones, and I knew I was in danger. There was only one demon I knew who came with such an amount of coldness. Sirion, Reaper of the Witches. I struggled to get up, but I was too weak. Its back shadow loomed over me like a fog, covering me with a cruel smile as it reached for my soul. My eyes closed as I waited for my death. A loud screeching sound startled me, and I jolted awake to behold the horror that was taking place before my eyes. Ysera! Step aside! It was Sarai. This time around, she was holding a black staff that expelled the Sirion from me. Get up! She ordered without looking at me. I immediately stood up, and the Sirion let out an earth-shattering screech of pain. A dark glow filled the air, choking me to death. It was dark magic. Enchantress Sarai was performing an exorcism. She was performing such a powerful procedure alone. The sight of the Sirion getting sucked into the staff made me starry-eyed, as well as increased my reverence for the enchantress. Soon enough, it was over, and Sarai tucked the staff into her robe. I remained motionless while she walked over to me. You must be careful on these grounds. The dark forest is crawling with demons and beasts who are ready to kill at the sight of you. She said, especially the mountains. You must be prepared, Ysera. What are you talking about? She walked ahead of me, and I followed. You cannot be weak when you thread the grounds of the dark forest. You must become strong, Ysera. There isn't enough time. What am I supposed to do if I don't have powers to ward them off? I'm barely a witch, I said, growing frustrated. You must become strong, Ysera. The next time we meet, you have to be stronger. I won't always save you. Her voice sounded far away. I could tell she wanted to leave. No, please, explain to me. How do I get strong? What am I supposed to do? How do I leave this forest? My desperation was heavy on my tone. There's no more time, Ysera. You must be strong. Her voice echoed until it eventually faded, leaving me in the midst of tall mystic trees of the dark forest. You must be strong. My door flings open, and I jolt awake from the sheer impact of the steel gates. It was yet another dream. Within seconds, my cell is crowded by 3 bulky-looking guards, eyeing me with cruel eyes. Finally, one of them spoke in the nastiest tone ever. Get up! You have been summoned by the Alpha. Zadok, it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks of defending my territory and killing every rogue that forgot what awaited anyone that crossed me or my territory. I returned to my office with Azrael after taking a pit stop at Shilhi's in order to restock my potions. Due to the recent events, I allowed my wolf to have total control of my body, and as expected, he rained carnage on everything that threatened his dominance. Now, however, we were in the Packlands, and the last thing I wanted was my people getting hurt by the Alpha that ought to protect them. I felt Kyr growl at my words, but I didn't care. Without hesitation, I threw back 2 bottles of my potion and waited for it to take effect. I just reached Athaliah. Morgan has been discharged and is back in shape. Azrael reported, That's good. I nod in approval. And Ysera? You mean the witch? I rolled my eyes. Get her in front of me by dinner. It's about time we wrapped things up. Yes, Alpha. I sat in the throne room with Azrael, going through some paperwork when the door flung open. 3 guards walked in, 2 of which were dragging a malnourished-looking Ysera, who was placed on the floor before me. A tinge of regret pressed my chest as I took in her sight. She looked overworked and in dire need of food. She wasn't supposed to look like this. Damn those rogues for taking my time at the borders. I should have returned much earlier and put an end to this foolishness. You can leave. Azriel ordered from beside me, and the guards left the room, standing guard outside the doors. I wanted to touch her, so much I held my throne to avoid getting up. Her red hair covered most of her face, hindering me from seeing the damage I had caused. I frowned, and just when I wanted to ask her to look at me, she raised her head and connected eyes with mine. "Alpha," she said, and I heard the respect in her voice. That was a first. "Ysera." I cleared my throat. "Do you have an answer for me?" "I do." My brows shot up, and what would that be? "I pledge my loyalty to you, Alpha Zadok," she said, looking me in the eye. "I submit." I didn't miss the grit in her teeth as they said my name. Neither could I stop the pleasant feeling that enveloped me at the hearing of her submission. "Good girl," I praised, surprising myself and Azriel, who watched our interactions. "You have chosen wisely," I say, not wanting our interactions to end so early. "Is there a reason why you decided so?" I asked, relaxing on my chair. "I'm glad you asked, because I have a condition," she stated, her tone serious. I didn't like the idea of being given a condition, but I nodded anyway. "Let's hear it." "No harm must come to my clan. The Celt's coven must be left alone," she said. I could tell this was a non-negotiable. In fact, I wasn't surprised she thought I would go ahead to destroy those mongrels after she pledged her life to me. My reputation always precedes me. I didn't correct her misconception. It was best she thought the worst of me. That way, she would think twice before crossing me. "For as long as you behave, no harm will come to them." I gave her my word. "That I swear to you." "Then we have a deal." She bowed her head, and her eyes were hidden by the volume of her hair. "Good, now that's settled. We still have some unfinished business." Ysera shot up at my words. "You didn't think I forgot your little act of trying to kill one of ours, did you?" I asked, staring her blank in the face. "No," she said, looking lost for words. "I know you have served your due punishment, but I'd like to know." I sat up on my throne. "Why did you want to kill her so badly?" Ysera didn't skip a beat, because she attacked me first. "Listen, no matter your reason, I wouldn't bite. You're part of us now. I just need to make sure you don't make a habit of it. You don't have to lie. Do you believe me or not?" She snapped, and Azriel made to move, but I stopped him. "I believe you," I said to her without skipping a beat. "But I must warn you, I do not take being lied to lightly." She attacked me first. Celel was there. Everyone will bear witness to that. "Celel?" I turned to Azriel. "I thought Celel was out of duty and in my quarters." She returned to work. "I told you some time ago," he answered, surprising me. "For how long?" "A few months." I turned back to Ysera. "Since you're so sure, I'll bring in Celel." Azriel immediately walked out of the room, and after a brief talk with the guards, he returned back to his spot, notifying me that Celel was on her way. My eyes remained on Ysera, who was unfazed until there were knocks and the door opened. Celel walks in and joins Ysera on the floor with her head bowed. "Raise your head," I immediately ordered. "How have you been?" "Fine, thank you, Alpha," she answered with a smile. "Good. I apologize for the urgent call, but I needed to clarify something." My eyes narrowed on Ysera. "Do you recognize the lady beside you?" She nodded. I clapped my hands. "Excellent. How did you meet her?" "We worked in the kitchen together some weeks ago." "I presume that was the day a fight broke inside the kitchen?" "Yes, Alpha. Can you tell me what transpired between her and Morgan?" Celel hesitated, looking between Ysera and myself. "No need to be scared. I just wanted to get the account from you because I trust you. Is that okay?" "Yes, Alpha," she stuttered. "That's it. So let's hear you." For the next few seconds, the room was silent as we all waited for Celel to speak. Just when I was losing my patience, she immediately spoke, shocking the hell out of me. "She insulted you, and when Morgan tried to correct her, she charged at her with knives,"